right, it's 7:27 p.m. You are here live for another edition of X-Feed. What's up? What is going on? Hope your day has been well. My name's The Schiller. Talk about NFTs, all that fun jazz for your entertainment, or at least hopefully you're entertained. If you're not entertained, well, I got to fix what we're doing there. My goodness. We're live on Abstract as well. Perfect. Let's get into it. We're talking a ton about stablecoins and all the other jazz that we see across the timeline. Doggy number 3640 submitted by Sai. I don't know. Listen, I've been long time following Steph here. Bisay, hell yeah. Love to see it. But Doge Pound out on a NFT physical display. Genuine question for you. Would you ever go anywhere to go specifically to an NFT gallery in person? You can see them online, but is it different when you're able to go and see it in person? Doggy3640, again from the Doge Pound. It's a 10,000 art piece carefully chosen by Professor Elon, which I don't think that's like that Elon. I think it's part of their narrative. A unique digital collection of diverse NFTs lying on Ethereum blockchain. Each one is thoughtfully designed, specifically picked, and impeccably shaped. Hell yeah. But kind of cool to see. The US government is buying Bitcoin. GameStop is buying Bitcoin. BlackRock is buying Bitcoin. MicroStrategy is buying Bitcoin. Metaplanet is buying Bitcoin. Marathon is buying Bitcoin. El Salvador is buying Bitcoin. UAE is buying Bitcoin. If your Uncle Jim isn't, who cares? Listen, we love Uncle Jim. True. But this is kind of a funny post because it depends on who you talk to, right? You're going to have friends that are like, yeah, crypto's kind of cool. You're going to have friends that are like, yeah, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. And it's funny because everybody's going to be different, but as the adoption starts happening, as the prices potentially, but likely, go up over a longer term horizon, I think the shift around crypto is going to be different. And we do the RWA Segments podcast, and we just did a recording with Chris Yin from the Plume Network, who's one of the co-founders. Super enlightening conversation. Guy swears an absolute ton, so I got to edit some of that out. But it's a fascinating conversation, and we went over the aspect of in crypto right now. You kind of got two realms, right? Where you have, all right, there's like the legitimate, right? The good angel and the devil, right? You ever seen the two sides? Kind of like that, where you have some of the celebrities, it's not that great, but then you also have people that are doing things for the better, banking people that were previously unable to be banked. Maybe they're helping out within their current nation states of, if their currency is not doing really well and they need access to certain stable coins. And it's great. It's great. Yo, Corey, what's going on? Here's an interesting question. With these larger entities accumulating Bitcoin, are we concerned about a type of centralization? Maybe. Good question. We'll get into it in a second. JR, Schiller to the moon. We're not launching a token, but love the idea. JR, hell yeah. And we got a post from you. So if you leave the stream, you're going to miss yourself. That's going to be tough. But back to the angel reference here. With the angel and the devil, I think that there's still like a very I don't know why I want to say unpatriotic way around crypto, but that's not the correct terminology. But you have the people that just like simply do not understand that there is good and bad portions of crypto. And for us, I'm not talking to like you. You know what I'm saying? It's for the other people that you interact with that aren't crypto native whatsoever. There's still a stigma that people can't comprehend, where if I was to bring up Pokemon cards, and you guys might have seen the viral video of somebody that was selling the Van Gogh Pokemon cards, and they were fake. And there was somebody that went to confront them. They didn't really confront them. They tried to, but it was like, right? And it's like, okay, do you say that the cardboard or trading card industry is a scam? Or do you be like, okay, there's the good angel and then the devil? And I don't think people have clued into the fact that that's also the same within crypto. But when they do, holy smoke, Schiller to the moon. True. Readyverse, March updates. Wake up players, new updates has dropped. Explore new inventory items for burrows and gods and goblin amulet holders. Hell yeah. So again, Readyverse is building out kind of a portal where you're able to jump through different worlds. This is your different take on Other Side. This is your different take on Sandbox. Very, very interested in all that kind of jazz. We've been covering it a lot. And we did actually do a Spaces today with the Futureverse team. And I'll highlight that here in a momentaro. There's good and bad in any market. There are still Gordon geckos on Wall Street doing bad things. Just look at Martin Skrillex. Wait, hold on a second. So I'm not educated on this, just a smidge, right? But is Skrillex not an artist, like a musician? Is this Martin Skrillex different than the Skrillex musician, or am I out to lunch here? But Miss Gecko also highlighting another metaverse that's out here, and maybe Readyverse is a way to connect all these different platforms when you can jump between worlds. But Vivi, we've highlighted their metaverse before, but I mean, look at these. Look at these. Capcom, Funko, Lamborghini, Star Wars, Disney, even though Disney and Star Wars are the same thing, are they not? Marvel, also kind of a part of Disney, is it not? DC, Ubisoft. Some big players within that, all about those branding players. It was a play on the last name. Okay, I'm a fish. But Corwin, you're a beauty. Art Chick saying instead of gambling, if we'll call it that, on new NFT mints or old projects recovering, why not just buy CryptoPunks? Well, because they're like $100,000. That's why. And this is something that we also forget about. And we made the comment the other day about how derivative CryptoPunks, why are they successful? Well, because people are gambling on some of the like alien versions. If you get a super rare CryptoPunk, even if it's a derivative, if there's any sort of notion around a certain collection, even if you got like 50 to 100 people that are kind of out buying, somebody's going to buy it for like maybe $50 on the hopes that it's going to go somewhere. But let's take this a little bit more seriously. This is similar to when folks buy freshly bonded new launch memes at 50K market cap or whatever instead of established meme coins. If you're bullish on NFTs, buy some punks. The only collection that survived the NFT bear market, punks were minted in 2017 and inspired the ERC 721 standard NFTs are based on today. So when we say survive the NFT bear market, what do we classify as surviving? That's my question, because we have collections out there, a lot of them, that are like $5,000 plus per. So sure, maybe a cool cat isn't worth $75,000. It's worth like $2,000, whatever it is. But like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Because I don't know if this is like a correct take. But then also, again, for the punks, one thing that has not really taken much grind, interest within the crypto space is the fractionalization component. And this is something that we talked about on the podcast before, which again, in the description down below, if you're on YouTube or in my bio on X. Like fractionalization at a point was a really big thing. People were like, oh, you know what? We can buy a sliver of a Bored Ape. We can buy a sliver of a CryptoPunk. Maybe we could buy more shares within that, whatever verbiage you want to use. But now people just want to own things outright. It's not owning half a CryptoPunk, whatever. That's not really a thing anymore. So I don't hate the take. I think like, you know, for certain people, sure, it totally works. But super expensive. Fractionalization isn't really as popular as it once was. And there's a lot of NFT collections that did survive the bear. So we got some problems with it. Justin, $6 trillion asset manager Fidelity to launch crypto stablecoin. Have you noticed that there is just talk about stablecoin every day? Everyone's doing a stablecoin. And is stablecoins really just going to be the use case for crypto, all backed by the American dollar? Like, where the hell is the Canadian dollar in this? Where the hell is any other dollar in these stablecoins? Everything's US only. Does that change at any point? We'll have to wait and see. So Chimba Studios, this is a collection that I actually am friends with one of the founders for it. And I just wanted to give you a perspective, right? So let's read this. Gaming is better with the squad. Step into Chimba Universe, a world where every choice matters and every adventure is powered by entertainment. Tag your friends and engage for a chance to receive airdrop. Would you engage to potentially receive this airdrop? Now let's give this the benefit of the doubt and give some positivity out in the universe and say, you know what? This airdrop is worth something at some point. And all you needed to do was interact with a post online to be a part of it. Half the world still wouldn't interact with it, just on the assumption, it's probably not going to do anything. But you're different. You're different. You're out here. You're involved, and you're curious. Also, this is a reminder, Wayfinder. We posted this in the video the other day. I need to try to bring this up on here. But it's app.wayfinder.ai. So this is the team that's built like Parallel TCG, and they've done they've done the Prime token. Excuse me, I'm fluttering as I'm going through this, but they have the upcoming what the hell is this even called? Wayfinder. I'm trying to forget. Prime. Stake Prime for Parallel. No, that's not it. I'm messing up what it is. Anyway, there's very rarely where I actually go out and do what's asked, but there is like missions in this where if you create a wallet within their thing, you have 6 different missions. It's sending like $10 from Base, from Polygon, from some of these different things. I've gone out and done it. It's like $63 total, 70, whatever it is, but it gets 2% of the allocation. So again, if you're wanting to check that out, there's a lot of hype around that. We brought up Good Vibes Club as it minted. That went from like 0.069 or whatever it was to 0.3 now. Huge plays, Wayfinder. Not many people are going out and doing that, but you can be somebody that goes out and does that. And again, it's backed by a team that has done a lot of things. So there's your encouragement of the day. After 6 to 7 years in the space, it's very clear that founder-led marketing is the best way to establish authority and brand dominance. People buy from people, not brands. So I'm trying to think of like the traditional sense. And I'm like, does anybody know who like the Barbie CEO is? Does anybody know who the Hot Wheels CEO is? The Mattel, which is I think is like the parent brand of most of that stuff. Does anybody know who that is for Facebook? Even though like obviously that's a social media platform and maybe a terrible example, but the people who use Facebook because they like Mark Zuckerberg, I don't know. This feels like it's specifically only like a Web3 thing. And I don't, sorry, to rephrase, I don't disagree with this take, but it's funny that this is just like such a stupidly hyper-focused Web3 perspective, because I don't think it really works anywhere outside of that, unless you're looking at athletes and then endorsements and yada yada. Okay, Dave Finzer, OpenSea CEO. We've always envisioned NFTs representing a full spectrum of economic activity, from 4-cent game items to multi-million-dollar art. Fun to see the microtransaction side of things on Ronin Network. And again, mass adoption. They're showing some Axie Infinities selling for like $3. They got some other components here selling for like a cent, 51 cents out there. Wild units, whatever that is. But the point being is this space isn't supposed to be hyper expensive. So whenever you see these new mints coming out charging like an arm and a leg, I always kind of like, all right, listen, this is great. You have to think like to a point. There's a like very, very high chance that the team has worked completely free up until the point of the mint. And if it's quality, it's great. But at the same time, it's like, hey, if we're going for mass adoption, why do we keep focusing on these like small, super niche collections? Is it going off of the art? Is the expansion not as granular? And obviously it's give or take between smaller collections to larger ones. But it is cool to see when you have kind of these smaller transactions, because again, a lot of this stuff is just massive sales. Okay, Robbie Ferguson, the CEO of Immutable X, they just got their legal case dropped by the SEC, so they got the green light. Here's his response.
Hi everyone, Robbie Ferguson here from Immutable. Today we've had some really exciting news, which is that after nearly a year of fighting, the SEC has finally and formally closed its investigation into Immutable. For a bit of context, when we received the Wells notice out of the blue last year, the SEC alleged we had violated US securities laws with almost zero specifics on any detail. The same tale that could be told for many companies in this space. And so to receive today the news that not only are they closing the investigation, but that there are zero findings of any wrongdoing and they're confirming they're not taking any enforcement action, it's a really big deal. Not only for the company, but for me personally. And I'm very proud of the team over the last 6 to 12 months as they built through this. I always knew building with compliance in mind would pay off, and we've really struggled to build Immutable the right way from day one. I've been in the industry for a decade, and we've been building Immutable for now nearly 7 years. But most importantly, I'm grateful for the team who has been relentlessly executing despite this additional pressure. Over the last year, we have launched from scratch Immutable zkVM, a blockchain that as of today is the second most popular L2 blockchain in the world by daily active users. We've scaled Immutable Passport to 5 million signups. We've doubled the amount of games building on the platform to over 560 today. We signed more last year than we've ever signed in the company's lifetime combined. And from just 30 of those going live, we've seen the traction be driven. And we've also signed more than 3 multi-billion-dollar games in that period as well. This is what we've done without regulatory clarity, fighting 2 massive battles at once. I'm incredibly excited to see what we can do by accelerating now that we can just focus on building. If you thought we were executing quickly before, just you wait. So finally, I want to thank you for supporting us and for sticking with us through whether it's this or bear markets or any other period of difficulty in this space. We're here for the long run. We're here to make digital ownership rights real for 3.5 billion gamers.
3.5 billion gamers. Jeez, Corbin, this is huge. Immutable is blowing up right now between Raven Quest and Immortal Rising 2, which has their TGE in 8 hours. Just bringing that liquidity. Hell yeah, I love it. So let's have a little bit of a self-reflection here, because I'm somebody that has made comments throughout the past year saying, well, and I'm not the only one, but Immutable has signed a bajillion games and it feels like there is only X amount of a player base. But to Corwin's point, now that you just need one or two of them to really start taking off. Sure, there's going to be failures. We've talked about, 90% of things failing, whether it be a game, whether it be the blockchain, whether it be, an app, whatever the hell it is, business overall. But you get two of them, you get some goods, you get this. The interest is back. Things are rolling. Love to see that for Immutable. Opening day tomorrow. Ring-a-ding-ding-ding-ding. If you're a fan of MLB, you would know that technically the season already started out in Japan, but that's okay. That's okay. The technical actual start of the season is tomorrow. So if you're watching some baseball, enjoy. All right. We got smack talk on the timeline, talking a little smack. Pictures of digital metaverse dogs will outperform your portfolio over the next couple of months. I don't make the rules. Okay. So first of all, what's the Photoshop here, my bro? What do we do? There's like a little cliff under this thing. So is this a Photoshop or what the hell happened here? But this is also highlighting for anybody that's on audio a price chart where it shows the price of these Bored Ape Kennel Clubs over a couple of years. And at one point, looks like it ticked about, 13, 14, 15 ETH, which is huge. And remember, this is a companion collection that didn't say it was offering anything. And eventually it was a part of a game. But I don't think like the game for heavy metal was out until like even here. So they were like way, way down in price comparatively to that. But the speculative nature, the hype around Yuga, the war chest that they have, is this a terrible take? I don't necessarily think so. We go back to the arguments of, are art collections and these NFTs that are 10,000 collections too much? We could argue that it's too much within a certain subset of maybe there's not that many people that are in Web3 right now, comparatively to what were, or at least not enough distractions where prices were able to hold up and be funneled into certain collections. But over time, as adoption happens, if these things are integrated in certain components, if there's burn mechanisms, why the hell not? Hell yeah. Segment Spaces on Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. If you guys are wanting to check out what's going on with Matty B and the crew, would encourage you to check that out. Of course, we do the RWA Segments podcast, which the description is down below in the description if you're on YouTube or on my bio on X. But it's a marketplace. They've launched their NFT on Abstract, and they're doing a whole bunch of stuff around digital collectibles. So how do you get people to play your game? How do you get people to be involved in your blockchain? Well, maybe you can just pay a shit ton of money to Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, this isn't a Web3 game at all, but the point being, this guy tweets about something, 22 million impressions. It's like this fighter game. He's having a signature move. He's being a character in it. We saw with Off the Grid where they had Ninja involved. They've had other streamers that they're building on. Really think that we're just going to see a huge undertaking of notable figures, IP of brands working together, and a lot of it, not yet, but soon to be, on blockchain rails. Star Atlas, remember the game from Solana, the big world open Star Wars type galaxy? ATMTA, the developers of Star Atlas are joining forces with SingularityNet to take immersive gaming to the next level. By integrating advanced artificial general intelligence, we're redefining what's possible in the metaverse. Okay, so I feel like there's a lot of people that are doing AI in the metaverse. So, like, are they specifically redefining it or just adding their own content to it? Hell yeah, RDL, what's going on? Absolute beauty. But everybody's going to have an AI play of some sort. And so watch and see what the announcements are, which ones take flight. We talked about the Wayfinder with Parallel a little bit earlier, but it's significant. I think it's going to be really, really significant. Breaking, U.S. state of Wyoming plans to launch its own stablecoin. So we have Fidelity launching a stablecoin, and now Wyoming launching a stablecoin?
To that extent, we have a bit of an exciting announcement to make here. As of today, the Stable Token Commission has formally engaged Layer 0 as our token development and distribution partner. And we have stable tokens, Wyoming stable tokens, on several test networks already, 7 of our candidate blockchains. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But we're incredibly excited to have the support of the Layer 0 team, and we're excited to have testing underway. So with that said, Governor, we're already getting into the deep end on what Wyoming is doing and issuing tokens. Tell us a little bit more about Wyoming's tenure in the cryptocurrency, blockchain, digital asset space. Since 2016, there's been 70 bills put forth, 40 of them enacted, the majority of those under your tenure. So why did Wyoming get involved in this space to begin with?
Well, I think part of it is just the fact that we have the right ecosystem for development. It's a government that's fully accessible. We can turn on a dime, we can make things happen. And back in 2016, we had a number of people who came to some of the legislators and said, you know, here's a new opportunity that we should look at. Can we do something with DAOs? Can we do something with what we call a speedy bank, special purpose depository institutions? Can we start to engage broadly in the crypto and digital asset world?
Okay, the government. They want to be in the digital asset world. You know who else is in the digital asset world? Hey, you right there. Yeah, nice. Round of applause. Corbin, so that's interesting, and here's why. We used to have state-based currency in the U.S., but official currency is only supposed to be issued federally. Oh, so what ends up happening with this? That is the question. When we said global early access, we meant global. Forgotten Rooneyverse, as mentioned yesterday, was going live today at 10 a.m. and does look like the players are around the globe. Love to see it. Love to see it. And do you remember when Good Vibes founder was like, yeah, OpenSea doesn't change their profile picture that often? They absolutely do. And in support of Forgotten Runes Wizard Cult, they've got one of the wizards with one of the OpenSea logos, which is a very nice touch within that whole style. So cool to see. Very much so. Also, OpenSea had 2 million followers, and from Miami, Florida. That's interesting. They have like their like where they're from on that front. Okay, so have you guys seen the update from ChatGPT? If you've tried to generate an image with it, it's phenomenal, like crazy upgrade. And so Felix here from the Think team said, centralized versus decentralized is the big differentiator. Do you want to own your data? So this is the big question as we're seeing the likes of OpenAI really catching waves. Are people going to care about the decentralized versus centralized? And I've had the notion, it's like, you know what? I don't need to learn how to change a flat tire. Till you get a flat tire and you're like, I don't know how to change a tire. Shit. So this is kind of my thing with it. And again, I've not really had that experience of like, there's a really bad issue with, hold on a second. I have, because I went to a bank once and they're like, so you're trying to move like funds to like this crypto exchange. And I was like, well, yeah. And it wasn't like a crazy amount or anything. And they're like, we can't do that. I'm like, what? And so in that sense, it's centralized, right? It's like, okay, technically that's supposed to be mine, but I'm getting blocked because the centralized party is like, no. Where if it's decentralized and you're allowed to do anything, it's like, okay, whatever. But, people might not have that experience ever in their life, or they might not have a certain experience that would make them realize, okay, the issue between centralized versus decentralized, how is a differentiator? But once we have that moment where people have something that affects them directly, like the flat tire, then it opens up of, hey, you know what? Maybe it's pretty good to be a little bit educated on how to change a tire, what all this decentralization is about, et cetera, et cetera. So very fun opportunity. Shout out to the Futureverse team for the chance to do this, but join Krista Gambrell, Aaron, Lenny, and Brooke on their open space today. So if you guys are wanting to listen back to that, I'll help facilitate some questions, talked a whole bunch about Silo as per usual, but very, very fun opportunity. And thank you to them for that. Ripple, the SEC. We got the rundown from Robbie over at Immutable, but we do have big news from Ripple and the SEC as well. From Stuart Alderati. The final crossing of T's and dotting of I's, and what should be my last update on the SEC versus Ripple ever. Last week, the SEC agreed to drop its appeal without conditions. Ripple has now agreed to drop its cross appeal. The SEC will keep $50 million of the $125 million fine already in an interest-bearing escrow in cash. With the balance returned to Ripple, the agency will also ask the court to lift the standard injunction that was imposed earlier at the SEC's request. All subject to commission vote, drafting of final documents, and unusual court processes. That's all, folks. That was yesterday. So nice. Nice. And the ChatGPT upgrade, Gimbly style. So if you guys are wanting to go and do an image, Jerry did one of his Bored Ape Yacht Club with the gator hat on. You can see that's actually like pretty clean. It's pretty damn good. And now everyone's doing it. We got Garga out there. We got Bo doing Kevin's Chili. Everyone's just throwing out images and absolutely loving doing it. Pudgy Penguins jumping on board as well. And remember yesterday, we're nailing this stuff. If you watch every single day, we're talking about acquisitions and mergers happening. Like 2 days later, that's going on. Yesterday, we made the notion of Magic the Gathering land cards and how just having filters on things are going to be what people want. Something they love like a Pudgy, but transfer it a whole bunch of different ways. And so Altered State Machine and their Cool Cat generator, this is one of the first things that made me kind of think about all this. They have fluffs. They have like this new Goblin Queen and Cool Cat. You know the Keck W guy? Hold on. I got to bring up a photo of Keck W guy. I got to bring up an image of him so you kind of like understand. But the guy that laughs, the guy that does the laugh, right? This right here, this guy. Well, that's him as a Cool Cat. And so that's the image that's with a filter that's about something you like Cool Cats. You think the Keck W is funny. And we got everybody doing their filter within the Ghibli thing. I'm just saying, we're absolutely nailing the trajectory of things so far. That's it for this edition of XFeed. What a banger. Super busy day. RDL, thank you so much for coming on through. Hope your day is phenomenal. If you guys did miss anything on here, would love for you to rewatch the stream. Again, quick reminder that the RWA Segments podcast link is down below in the description. They help support me. I hope you are out there supporting that show because that's what's keeping this stuff running and rolling. Corbin, we're going for the Schiller filter. I have no idea what we'd even do for that, but hell yeah, JR, thank you for the tweet a little bit earlier. Love to go over the bullishness for BAKC. If you're watching and you're not saying anything, hell yeah, brother. Enjoy your night. We'll talk soon. Peace.